These are the 10 wealthiest black billionaires on the planet in 2026, ranked from number 10 to number 1. And the names at the top of this list are almost certainly not who you think they are. A comment section under a video about black wealth caught my attention last year, where somebody had listed the 5 richest black people in the world as Michael Jordan, Oprah, Jay-Z, Rihanna, and Diddy. 4,000 people liked that comment, and every single one of them was wrong. Not partially wrong, not missing one name, but structurally, completely wrong. According to the Forbes 2026 Billionaires list, 3,428 people on Earth hold billionaire status. 27 of them are black, which comes out to less than 1%. All 27 combined are worth around $121 billion, which is roughly 1/6 of what Elon Musk holds alone. And that's where this gets interesting, because within those 27 names, there's a top 10. And that top 10 tells a story almost nobody is paying attention to. Number 10, Jay-Z, $2.8 billion. Sean Carter grew up in the Marcy House's public housing project in Brooklyn, New York, and co-founded Rockefeller Records in 1994 after reportedly being turned down by every major label he approached. 25 Grammy wins later, his fortune spans music rights, the Roc Nation Entertainment Company, Equity Induce Cognac and Armand de Brignac Champagne, a fine art collection, and real estate across Los Angeles, New York, and the Hamptons. He crossed the $1 billion mark in 2019, becoming hip-hop's first confirmed billionaire, and his wife Beyoncé just hit that same threshold on the 2026 list, which makes the Carter household the first in music history to produce 2 billionaires under one roof. Most people would place Jay-Z near the top of any conversation about black wealth. On the actual Forbes list, he sits at the very bottom of the top 10. Number 9, Oprah Winfrey, $3.2 billion. Born in rural Mississippi in 1954 and raised in poverty by her grandmother, Oprah landed a job co-anchoring the local news in Nashville at just 19 years old. Chicago came calling in 1984, where she took over a struggling morning show called AM Chicago that nobody expected to survive. Within 12 months, it held the highest ratings in the city. She renamed it The Oprah Winfrey Show, and then she pulled off something almost nobody in television had done before, negotiating full ownership of the show through her own production company, Harpo Productions. That one decision built everything that followed. OWN Network, Weight Watchers, a media empire spanning decades, and according to various reports, close to $500 million donated to charitable causes over her lifetime. She is probably the most recognized black billionaire on Earth, and she ranks 9th. Number 8, Patrice Motsepe, $3.9 billion. And this is where the list starts drifting away from the names people recognize. Motsepe is South African, born in Gayarankuwa in 1962 during the height of apartheid, and his father earned a living as a school teacher who ran a small spaza shop on the side. Law school came first, and Motsepe went on to become the first black partner at the firm Bowman Gilfillan. But then he pivoted into mining, an industry that had been effectively locked off to black South Africans for generations. What he did in 1997 changed the trajectory of his entire life, buying 6 marginal gold mining shafts from Anglo Gold that every other buyer had passed on. Profitable, within 2 years, those shafts became the foundation of African Rainbow Minerals, which today operates across gold, platinum, iron ore, manganese, and coal. According to their latest filings, the company reported a doubling of profit in the first half of fiscal 2026, powered by surging prices in platinum, palladium, and rhodium. Motsepe mines metals. Most people cannot pronounce for industries most people never think about, and he holds more wealth than Oprah Winfrey. Number 7, Michael Jordan, $4.3 billion. Professional basketball ended for Jordan over 2 decades ago, but the financial side of his career never stopped accelerating. The centerpiece of his fortune traces back to the Charlotte Hornets, a franchise he purchased for roughly $275 million in 2010 and sold his majority stake in 2023 at a reported valuation of $3 billion, a return that ranks among the most profitable sports investments in American history. Nike's Jordan brand continues pulling in an estimated $150 million a year in royalties, and the brand itself reportedly generates over $5 billion annually in global revenue. DraftKings and a NASCAR team round out his portfolio. Jordan is the last name on this countdown that most viewers will recognize on sight, and that's worth remembering because every person ranked above him from this point forward carries more wealth, and almost none of them are famous. Number 6. Mike Adenuga, $6.5 billion. Nigeria enters the picture here, and 3 of the next 5 names on this list come from this same country. Adenuga was born in Ibadan in 1953, and the story goes that he reportedly made his first million at the age of 26 by selling lace and distributing soft drinks on the streets of Lagos. That early money funded an oil exploration company, and when Nigeria's government auctioned telecom licenses in the early 2000s, Adenuga bid aggressively, won, and built Globacom from nothing into Nigeria's second-largest telecommunications operator, serving over 55 million subscribers across West Africa. Oil revenues flow through Canoil Producing, his upstream petroleum company. Journalists rarely get access to him, and business panels almost never feature his face. $2 billion separates him from Michael Jordan, and most people watching this video have never heard his name. Number 5. Robert F. Smith, $10 billion. Denver, Colorado is where Smith grew up, raised by a mother who worked as a school principal. Chemical engineering at Cornell came first, then an MBA from Columbia, followed by stints at Kraft General Foods and Goldman Sachs before he launched Vista Equity Partners in the year 2000. Vista has grown into reportedly the largest Black-owned private equity firm in the United States, managing over $100 billion in assets with a singular focus on enterprise software companies, the kind of back-end systems that keep hospital networks running, school districts operating, and supply chains moving. National headlines found Smith in 2019 when he stood up at Morehouse College's commencement ceremony and pledged to eliminate the student debt of every graduating student in the room. That clip traveled everywhere. His actual business leveraged buyouts of mid-market software firms that most consumers will never use or even hear about, attracted almost no attention at all. Smith carries more than double Michael Jordan's net worth, and the Morehouse speech remains the only reason most people can place his name. Number 4. Abdulsamad Rabiu, $11.2 billion. Kano, Nigeria, is where Rabiu entered the world in 1960, born to a father who ranked among the wealthiest businessmen in northern Nigeria during the 70s and 80s. That fortune collapsed into legal disputes after his father's death, which meant Rabiu had to rebuild from scratch. BUA Group launched in 1988 as a commodity trading operation dealing in sugar, rice, flour, and edible oils. Manufacturing came next, and then cement. And that pivot changed everything. According to Forbes Africa, Rabiu's personal fortune surged 120% in a single year, making him the biggest individual mover on their entire 2026 list. BUA Cement shares climbed 135% on the Nigerian exchange during that stretch. 64 years old and still deploying capital aggressively, Rabiu now holds nearly 3 times the wealth of Michael Jordan, and his empire runs on cement. Number 3. David Steward, $12.4 billion. The wealthiest Black person in the United States is someone most people could not identify in a photograph. Clinton, Missouri, in 1951 is where Steward's story begins. One of the few black families in a small segregated town, raised by a father who cycled through jobs as a mechanic, a janitor, and a trash collector. Central Missouri State University gave him a business degree, and years of sales work at Missouri Pacific Railroad, Union Pacific, and FedEx followed before he purchased his first small business with loans from local banks in 1983. 7 years later, he and Jim Cavanaugh co-founded Worldwide Technology with $250,000. That company now sits in St. Louis, pulling in annual revenues approaching $20 billion, with a client list that reportedly includes Verizon, Citi, Apple, Microsoft, and the United States federal government, supported by over 9,000 employees spread across the globe. Forbes awarded Steward a perfect score on their self-made scale, a distinction held by only 25 billionaires on Earth. He carries the title of Richest Black American, and almost nobody talks about him. Number 2. Alexander Karp, $13.4 billion. Philadelphia raised Karp, the son of a black artist mother and a Jewish pediatrician father. Stanford Law School came after his undergraduate years at Haverford College, and he later earned a doctorate in neoclassical social theory at Goethe University in Frankfurt, Germany. 2003 brought the founding of Palantir Technologies alongside Peter Thiel and a group of Stanford computer scientists. And what they built was an AI and data analytics platform that governments and large corporations use to process and interpret massive data sets. Reported clients include the United States Department of Defense, the FBI, and the CIA, which is the kind of customer base that does not generate lifestyle magazine profiles. Palantir's stock surged over 100% in the past year as AI-linked defense spending accelerated around the world. And The Economist reportedly named Karp CEO of the Year in 2024. Most conversations about black wealth never include him. His company builds intelligence software for governments, and that single fact explains exactly why. Number 1. Aliko Dangote, $28.5 billion. The wealthiest black person on the planet, and the gap between him and everyone else on this list is enormous. Kano, Nigeria. In 1957 is where Dangote was born, and his great-grandfather, Alhassan Dantata, was reportedly the richest man in West Africa during the colonial era. Commodity trading launched his career, dealing in sugar, cement, and flour, using a loan from his uncle. And the Dangote Group that grew from those early trades now stands as the largest industrial conglomerate in West Africa, with operations stretching across 17 African countries. Dangote Cement produces more of it than any other company on the continent. And in 2023, he completed the Dangote Refinery, a 650,000 barrel per day facility sitting on the outskirts of Lagos that holds the title of the largest single-train oil refinery in the world. A project he reportedly spent over $2 billion constructing from the ground up. According to Forbes, $4.6 billion landed on top of his existing fortune in a single year, driven by a near 70% rally in Dangote Cement shares on the Nigerian exchange. 15 consecutive years at the #1 position and counting, 68 years old and still expanding. His net worth exceeds Jay-Z, Oprah, and Michael Jordan combined. And that comment section from the beginning of this video, the one with 4,000 likes, never once mentioned his name. The pattern sitting inside this list is hard to ignore. Cement, oil refining, telecommunications, enterprise IT, AI defense software, private equity, and platinum group metals. Those are the industries that built the 10 largest black fortunes on Earth. The 3 names everyone would have guessed, Jordan, Oprah, and Jay-Z, all sit at the bottom of the ranking rather than the top. Not because their accomplishments lack substance, but because the industries generating the heaviest black wealth on the planet are infrastructure-scale operations that do not produce celebrities. They produce tonnage, server contracts, and barrels per day. And a man in St. Louis turned $250,000 into a $20 billion IT company, while a man in Lagos constructed the largest single-train refinery on his continent from scratch. And a man in Kano transformed a commodity trading business into an $11 billion cement empire. And almost nobody watching this had heard any of their names before pressing play. That comment section from the top of this video had 4,000 likes on a list that missed every single person in the actual top 5. The people who hit that like button were not unintelligent. They just had never been given the information. The industries powering the biggest black fortunes in the world do not purchase ad space during halftime. They do not release albums. And they do not sit on talk show couches. They pour cement. They process classified data. And they close deals in rooms that have never had a camera inside them. Before you watch this video, how many of these 10 names could you have listed? Drop that number in the comments. And if this changed the way you think about black wealth, subscribe, because we go deep on stories like this every week.